Welcome in.
So today is a very special house tour because I'm here with my sister who looks nothing like me. We're very aware of it. Also, we tried recording this a few times and we kept laughing. So we're going to see if we can get through it. And add on top of that, one of my microphones is not working. So we're going to have to pass this one back and forth. But first of all, you were just saying that you realized you moved into this house 2 years ago in 2 days exactly,
Yes.
right? So tell us, first of all, when you were looking for houses, like how you made that decision, how you ended up here.
Yeah, we were looking to move to the Northwest Arkansas area, and we kept looking at a ton of houses. Most of them were new builds, and they were obviously beautiful, but for some reason it just didn't quite seem like home to me. So we were looking on Zillow, and we were kind of looking for houses built in maybe the earlier 2000s or 90s. And this one had popped up on Zillow, and my husband left work, came here and toured it with our realtor, and he FaceTimed me because I was still at work. And I was like, I love it. And he put in an offer in the driveway before I ever actually saw the house in person. And we ended up getting it, and it was perfect. But it's just funny that we had gotten the offer and accepted before I ever saw it in person.
And you guys both have similar tastes, so you knew like you could trust his.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, so sorry, I'll take this back. So let's talk about a few areas. We're in the living room, obviously. So first of all, let's start back here. So the furniture that you have, the artwork, the sconces, like everything, I love it so much. And you were just telling me earlier, like you really sourced most of the stuff secondhand. You didn't buy a ton of stuff new. So tell us about the decision making in this area.
Yeah, pretty much all of our furniture in the entire house is either secondhand from family or buying from thrift stores, antique stores. And so, yeah, this sofa we bought at an antique store, and we absolutely loved it. But when we moved into this house, the ceilings are really tall in here, and the couch seemed kind of short. And we were trying to figure out what to do. And so we actually replaced the legs on it. And and it actually, we were able to pick out a wood that matched our furniture a little bit better, but it made the couch a little bit taller, and it was able to kind of fill the wall a little bit better.
Yeah. The other thing is I remember a story about, so this coffee table is fantastic. And I remember you telling me when you bought it, it's kind of funny. It ended up working out so well, but why don't you tell them about the story behind getting this coffee table?
Yeah, so we were looking for a coffee table for when we were going to move into this house because we knew we needed a bigger one for this living room than our previous home. And my husband and I both saw a coffee table on a Facebook page for one of the shops that we like to buy secondhand furniture from. And we both were like, oh, we love this. Let's go get it. And so we got to the store about 10 or 15 minutes before they closed. So we were trying to run in really quick. We told the lady, hey, we know exactly what we're getting. We want that coffee table you posted on Facebook earlier. And so we were in and out, bought it, brought it home, and we realized it actually was not the one we had both talked about, but we actually love this one even better. So it worked out perfect.
Okay, so you guys definitely have dogs, and you can tell because there are dogs featured all over your house. It's really, really cute. There's lots of pictures of them, but let's just kind of look back, like the fireplace, this desk area. There's lots of places where you see dogs. It's very cute.
Yeah, so on the fireplace, we have these Staffordshire dogs on either end, and we found those at an antique store in Prairie Grove, Arkansas, and we kind of got a history about them. Apparently, it's more rare if the dog's legs are detached rather than if they're attached, and so these are detached, so apparently it's a little bit more rare, and at the time that they would have been made would have been worth a little bit more. So we thought that was pretty cool to kind of hear the history of those. And obviously we have lots of photos of our dogs around and little dog trinkets. But yeah, you'll see pictures of our dogs everywhere.
Okay, and then one other piece that stands out to me is this chase lounge right here. So can you tell me, like, I can't even remember, did you guys have this for a while before you moved here?
Yes, actually, this chase lounge was from my husband's grandparents, and he actually had this in his apartment before we were even together. And so, funny story about the chase lounge is that I was invited to a birthday party at Hunter's apartment before I had ever met him, and I was sitting on this chase lounge, And that's the first place he remembers seeing me. And so, actually, when we got engaged, we took some engagement pictures on the Chase Lounge.
Okay, so that's the living room area. It's really light and bright. They have very, very good lighting in here, which is fantastic. Great tall ceilings. And I think when you talked about the like early 2000s or 90s style, I was saying earlier, it reminds me sort of like a comfort movie. And this to me is that. Okay, so we've moved into the dining room, and we were talking about this earlier. In your first house that you guys had, you did not have a formal dining room. So this was kind of a new thing for you when you moved in.
Yeah, so the dining table we had at our old house fits in our breakfast nook now. So we were trying to find a dining table and chairs that would fit in here, but we already had two large pieces of furniture. So we were looking all over at antique stores and we ended up finding this set on Facebook Marketplace and it just fit perfectly here.
And you guys know I love Facebook Marketplace. I always say to look there first. It is such a good place to find things. And you don't even have to get a matching set of chairs. Sometimes you can, find those somewhere else. Okay, so one of the things that you see in this dining room a lot is the color blue and white. It's all throughout. Tell us why that was important when you chose that.
Yeah, we both love blue and white, and we actually like it so much that our wedding theme was blue and white. And so we collected dishes from family and then also just bought some ourselves. And so the whole theme of the wedding was blue and white dishes, and we had blue and white centerpieces. So a lot of those things are now in our home, and you'll see that in all of the rooms.
Okay, and then let's talk about this specific piece of furniture back here because you can't not notice it. It's absolutely beautiful.
So the china cabinet was my husband's great great grandmother's, and it has original bubble glass. And it's just a huge piece. We can put a lot of dishes on display that we collect, and then there's also drawers that we're able to put more of our collection in.
Okay, and then the last piece I want to talk about is over here. I love putting a large mirror in a dining room. I think it looks so great. And we were also just talking about, I had forgotten there's a horse over here that we were together when you got that. I was like, that looks familiar. We went shopping together. But I can't even remember if you had this piece before, but tell me about this area.
Yeah, we did already have this Bombay chest in our old home, but it fit in here perfectly. And yes, love a large gold mirror. This is huge, but it actually fits really well in the space. Yeah, the horse, we actually found that when you visited a few months ago. We found that and we just put it up here. And then you'll also see we have a couple different vases in here. Well, one's a trophy that we're using as a vase, but we have some hydrangeas in there, and hydrangeas are my favorite flowers. Again, that's what I had at my wedding as well.
Okay, and then the last thing that we have talked about is just the architectural features of the room. It actually makes a big difference. I feel like people don't necessarily notice, but I know you were very excited for that.
Yeah, so when we moved in, this house already had this wainscoting in the dining room, and I just loved it. I thought it looked very classic. So, yeah.
So basically, what's really cool that I love is that you took pieces from your first home and you also took things that were special from your wedding and also family items, add in some Facebook Marketplace stuff in there. And this beautiful formal dining room comes together with your own personal items. So love it.
So we're in the entryway now, and I love this area because the ceilings are so tall. And when we moved in, we actually changed the light fixture to fit the area a little better. And as we go up the stairs, you'll see we have a gallery wall up here with lots of family photos. We're upstairs now, and we have a couple of guest rooms up here. We like to host friends a lot, and they stay in these rooms, so we wanted to make sure that they were really comfortable and cozy. So these rooms upstairs was a lot of just using what we already had and just buying a couple new things like the bedding. So a lot of it doesn't exactly match, but they're cohesive with the colors. So this guest room in particular had a lot of green and blue in it. So we try to incorporate that while also adding a little bit of like rust color and orange, as you can see with these shutters and with the toile curtains over here. Another thing that I really like in here is me and my sister love Nancy Drew books, and so you can see a few of those on display in this room.
All right, so we've moved over to another guest bedroom, and every time I stay here, this is my bedroom. So I feel like I could talk about it myself, but why don't you share?
Yeah, this is probably the comfiest guest room that we have. I love the bedding in here. This was secondhand from a family member, so it has the bedding, the bed skirt, pillows, and actually the valance on the window all match. And I love the toile, and it kind of goes with the plates that we have behind it. And another thing I like about this area is there was only a couple ways we could place the furniture in here. And so there wasn't really a way to put a nightstand next to the bed. So we actually just put this little shelf here. So you can put a glass of water on that as a nightstand.
Mhm. And can confirm it works out perfectly. I usually have my phone charging next to it. It's a great place to be. Okay, and then something else that I just love in this room is the mirror. So, how long have you had that mirror?
I think that mirror was actually in our old house. So we've had it for probably 6 or 7 years. And I think that came from a family member.
Okay, and then let's talk about this desk that's over here.
So this desk is special because our aunt actually she had texted me and she said that she had this desk that was our great grandmother's and she wanted to make sure it went to somebody in the family and so she had asked if I had space and originally I didn't think we had space but then I was looking around the house because I really wanted to keep it and it fit perfectly here. So all I need is to find a little chair that will fit under it so it can actually be used as a desk, but this one's special.
Yeah, and I was just thinking earlier too, a family member gave you the bed itself as well, right? Like a long time ago?
Yes, yeah, a family member gave us this bed as well when I was moving into my first apartment on my own.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it's really cool. I love staying in this room. It's very comfortable and it's also very sweet that it's just got different memories. And one thing to add, it's been fun doing this with my sister. We've been like laughing about memories and we were joking about our great grandmother whose desk this was. When we were kids, we would always get tacos with her with our cousins. And so she was Grandma Taco to us. So she was telling me, about this desk, and I go, oh, yeah, Grandma Taco's desk. So it's just funny to be able to reminisce about this. So we are in a very unique space now. And one of the things I love about this room is that I am almost positive there is no other room in the country that looks just like this space. So why don't you tell us about it?
So, if you couldn't tell, we are from Arkansas, and so we're big Arkansas Razorback fans. So, this room has all Arkansas and Razorback decor in here.
Okay, so what's really cool is that in the first house they lived in, they had a detached garage that they converted into like a movie room and they called it the Razor Shack, like Razorbacks. And so when they found this house, you had told me like this was basically your next Razor Shack.
Yes.
So can you tell me some of your favorite items in the room?
Yeah, I like a lot of things in this room, but my personal favorites are these pennants over here. I don't know how old they are, but I just love the way they look. And we happen to find two that look pretty similar, so we could put them on either side of that photo.
Okay, and then the last thing that I think is important for a lot of people is when you have a space like this that's not necessarily designated towards like it's this person's bedroom or whatever, you have to use it like for multiple reasons. So obviously you use this to watch sports, but how else do you use this room?
So like I mentioned earlier, we like to have a lot of friends over and host, and so this room it's good to watch games, but it's also good for movie nights. And then if we have more friends staying over, then they can also sleep on the couches. They're pretty comfortable. And then lastly, there's a desk over here that I actually use if I ever have to work from home.
Anyway, I can confirm I've been here for movie nights and it's a pretty excellent spot to see them. All right, so we have moved into your bedroom. It's a very large space, which is really nice. So, there's a lot of like vignettes in here. I really like it. There's a lot going on. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, this room was a lot bigger than our master bedroom in our old house, so it was kind of fun getting to fit more pieces of furniture in here. We actually have some very large pieces, and one of my favorite things is this really large armoire that was from a family member. So I love that that's in here because I like to use the full length mirror on it as well.
Okay, so also you guys have a TV in your bedroom, but one of the things that I love is how you've displayed it. It's like it's not just on an entertainment stand or whatever. Like you have it on a really beautiful piece of furniture.
We found this dresser at an antique store and I just absolutely loved it. It was in great condition and was a great price. So we put the TV on that. And another thing to note is above the TV is actually a photo of the Clayton house, which is where we got married. So that's kind of special to have in our bedroom.
Okay, so I think we have to talk about the bed, of course. I love the bedding on here. It's honestly it's beautiful and also the artwork and the plates that you have. It looks really really good. I like doing something that's like I don't know, it's a little bit different. Like you didn't just do the standard above the bed like pictures. Like I like that you did this big piece and you did the plates. It's cool. So start with the bedding. Tell us a little bit about it.
So, since we have dogs and they're always up in our bed, we had to find a pattern that wouldn't really show if they got any paw prints or dirt on it as well as easily. And so, we went for something that had a lot of pattern and color, and we like the blues and greens and even kind of the rust color that was in the guest room too. So, that's how we came up with this one, and we just did a lot of pattern mixing in this room, as you can see with the curtains and the rug and pillows. And then you kind of mentioned up here as well, really just we looked through what we already had and we saw that it kind of matched the colors. And so that's why we put that above the bed.
And then the other thing that I love that I think people are maybe doing more of, but for a while weren't, is you put a lot of pictures up that are like personal to you. I feel like for a long time, people just, at least this is how we grew up, you put them in photo albums and we have like a shelf filled with photo albums you would go through. And I think there was this idea of like, oh, it's not aesthetically pleasing to have family photos or whatever. But you've done it in a really, really good way. There's a lot of cool stuff that's like personal, you know, even stuff that we've done together in here.
So we do have picture frames on our nightstands and as well as this piece of furniture that we hold our towels in. And on top has my jewelry and some pictures. So there's a picture of us when we went to New York. And then another picture of a place that you'll have to remind me where it is.
Middleburg, Virginia.
Yeah, so the one of the last times I visited UNDC, we took a little day trip to Middleburg, Virginia, and we ate at this really cool restaurant. And as we were leaving, I saw that they had postcards, and I was like, "Are these free?" So we each grabbed one. I think we both have one framed, and so that's pretty special to have that on display in here.
Yeah, that's one thing I would note is put personal things up. Like, you know, of course, we both have lots of artwork that's not, but I just think it's really cool. And I also think it's fun to talk about when someone's like, wait, what is this from? And you can tell them the story. So I'm all for adding some personal touches.
So this is our office, and typically my husband uses this room. It also has his dressing area, so with his dresser and his accessories and colognes. Something special that's on this dresser over here is his great grandmother's clock, as well as his father's Bible and his grandfather's Bible.
Okay, so just off the living room, we have this little breakfast nook back here in the kitchen. Tell us about this space.
So the table behind us was the dining table in our old house, and we were able to fit it into this breakfast nook area right here, and it fit perfectly.
Mhm. Yeah, honestly, it's really cool. One of the things I've been over here multiple times when you guys have hosted for holidays, it's really nice because you do have the formal dining space, but you also use this quite a bit to like host people. And also, if somebody's in the living room, you're close enough, but it's
Yeah.
separated. I really like that. And then tell us about some of the items that you put in the kitchen.
In the kitchen, you can see some more blue and white here and there. And I've seen it a lot on TikTok and Instagram to put a lamp in your kitchen, and it really does make it so much cozier. The last thing I want to talk about is the jadeite because that was from our grandmother's house, and that's just really special to me.
So we were really fortunate. Our grandmother, her house was incredible. It was filled with just the absolute best antiques for sure. And I think it's really cool because we actually grew up seeing a lot of the really nice antiques and are able to use that kind of thing. And you obviously are using it throughout the house. So thank you so much for watching, and a huge shout out to my sister. We had such a fun time. Honestly, I should have shown the bloopers because it was hilarious trying to get us to be serious at first. And a shout out to my brother-in-law who did an excellent job with the yard as always.